meeting to order. I'm glad y'all showed up. Wish there's been more. Well, people get things that they don't understand, but we'll try to make it to where you all can understand this is what's going on. I'm gonna give a roll call. Dema?
Here.
Linda? Here. Johnny? Here. Robin ain't here. Okay, we have a quorum. Okay, I need a motion on the adoption of the May 14th agenda.
I second.
Okay. Opposed? All in favor?
Who made the motion?
And that was,
Sorry.
did you say the May minutes or the April?
April.
Please.
We did the agenda. Okay.
Okay, the reading of the acceptance of the April 9th regular scheduled mayor and alderman meetings. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to accept those.
Second. Okay. Motion passed.
Is that the April or
Okay. Is there any discussion on that?
Discussion before.
Okay, the reading and acceptance of the October the 9th meeting.
You need a motion and a
Yes,
second.
I need a motion on that.
I make a motion with October 9th, 2018, red schedule.
We need a second
Now,
before we can
we're-
talk about it.
A motion and second to read it and
Yes, yes.
okay, I'll second
Okay.
that.
Okay,
Discussion.
we've got to have a discussion on that. We are voting to accept the minutes of the October 9th meeting with the following amendments.
No, not yet. Let him talk about it.
Well, I'll just tell you.
Mr. Mayor, the only thing I see in the October meeting is item, what is it? The last one down there where it's dealing with the property and the motion that was made. Seemingly, I'm the one that's supposed to have made that motion. We accept the plan that was there. That was not a plan to sell property or give away property. That was a plan or a, whatever you want to call it, to put something in front of us that we could see. There was no visible nothing, no set to earth rules or whatever. It was simply that it was dropped, the part in the front, most of it is right, except that the deal about the baseball field was dropped. And this is another avenue that he came up with. And my motion was to look at that fodder and get a definite plan on it. It was not to sell any property or give away any property. So, with that being said, I talked with former Mayor Peter twice about the motion he did not have to quit claim property. And he said, I've got it. I said, well, I don't think you do now. That was standing out here in the street before you ever surveyed any property. And then, after that, I couldn't get anything anywhere, so he went on with his survey and he did it, and he brought me a copy of the deed, quitclaim deeds. And he said, I said, well, I still don't believe you've got the proper authority to do this because of the business that has been done. And he said, well, it's too late now, it's done. So that's where I stand on it, and my motion was not any way whatsoever to do away with property. My motion was simply to go further with the plan. And if it was misunderstood, then I guess I didn't make it plain. But if you had a tape, and I understand we don't have a tape of that meeting, but if you had a tape and you heard the discussion that went on that night about what was there and what wasn't, it would be easy to understand that it was not anything to quit claiming any property. So I don't know how you correct this to be changed and read properly. I don't know how you write it. And I guess probably I didn't state it correctly, or it didn't get put down correctly, but I'd like to hear the tape, but evidently we don't have a tape. Oddly enough, October's the only one we don't have for the last year, but anyhow,
Come on,
I didn't say that, maybe you did. It's kind of odd, yeah.
So part of that discussion was to have the land surveyed, not to quit claim deed over. And that was my understanding. So for everybody that don't know, October we had a meeting. We didn't have a meeting to follow that. So the meeting minutes in October were never approved or by anyone on this panel or previous panel. So normally when we have a meeting, we have the minutes and then we will approve the following month, but we never had another meeting, and it was never said to quit claim deed over any type of property. It was just to have property surveyed and investigated.
So these are draft minutes that have not been approved?
That's
correct.
So you can move to amend this text
Yeah.
to reflect what you believe actually occurred at the meeting. Okay?
I don't know how to write it down, what actually occurred.
Well, you can move to amend to the extent that you think that the language here is wrong. You can move to amend it to what you think is right.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, I wasn't there, but my understanding is that you approved a plan to further explore issues involving property, but not any specific plan or any specific conveyance. Is that correct?
That's correct. There was no specific conveyance of anything made. And it was, as far as I thought I was doing and making, it was to expand onto it and see what it worked out.
Okay. So if someone thinks that these minutes are incorrect, they can move to amend.
Yes, we're going to move to amend some way or another.
Okay, because you can, somebody can file it, can right now say, I move to amend the minutes.
I'll move to amend the minutes.
Okay.
And I would second that.
Okay.
There needs to be, in the motion, how do you amend the minutes? What is the proposed language?
So I think it was exactly what we talked about that night was to, I mean, what we talked about then was to have it surveyed and just look at, not to quit claim deed over any property. So,
The motion would have been to authorize the mayor to explore further the
yes.
survey of property. Is that a correct statement?
But unknowing that we couldn't do that anyways. So
Yes, that's another
we
thing.
didn't know that we couldn't, based off the state of Tennessee, that we couldn't give up any property at that meeting. So, I amend the whole minutes because of not knowing and not having full understanding of, we couldn't do it to begin with.
Right.
There never was a meeting followed up to clarify this
Yeah.
meeting.
So what we can do is just move, we can't change what did happen, but we can amend it to reflect the truth of what happened.
Yeah.
So, is that the language, do you have enough language there?
Yes,
Is
to
that-
further explore issues affecting property, having a survey.
Okay. Is that the extent of what you think
Yes, yes,
was
that,
suggested and approved?
that would correct the part that is, I feel like it is totally misleading.
let's specify which part of this you think is misleading and should be stricken, and then do a motion on that.
Well,
Delmer, what are you accepting a plan for?
for what you just
To further explore issues affecting the
further explore
property
issues.
and do a survey.
A survey was talked about, but we actually wanted to know what properties are you talking about, whether he surveyed, whether it was surveyed or not. We just didn't have any information at all, and that was the way that my motion should have read, is that we explore the information, get more information on it. So the part that says after discussion of the property, that I made a motion to accept the plan, that part is questionable to me, and it should read as we have stated.
Okay.
It also says on the front page there, Delmer and council, that the mayor told the council the new idea was to give the parking lot and roadway behind Peepaws to the fire department and some additional property.
Was that specifically discussed?
That was some of the part of having it surveyed,
Okay, that was,
That was part of what.
but not quit claim
Actually,
deed.
is talked about. Yes.
I think some of the comment where it says, where it mentions after a discussion about the property, it don't specify what we talked about, it says after a discussion about the property.
That was the discussion.
is there any specific language then that you need to move to strike other than what we've talked about with the change of your motion?
You can read that, interpret that two different ways, the way it's not clear.
It's not clear.
It's not clear at all.
So
It-
after we.
Because he's always got a plan that he's looking into. He's always looking.
But it
for
doesn't
something.
identify what the plan is.
Right, he didn't identify
Survey.
what the plan was.
So if I were a citizen that came to that meeting, I wouldn't have any idea what was being proposed to be looked at, to be given, given away.
I was at the
Looking
meeting.
at.
This has.
And it was brought up about Peepaws, that land there. He canceled the meeting, or the plan to give this ball field away.
Yes.
That's all I remember, that he was looking at another plan about this property. And I think he mentioned that the court, volleyball, or tennis court down here, if you go back in other meetings, he says he got in touch with the state, but he didn't.
To accept plan to further
So if I'm reading this, it says the original idea for property behind the fire hall was canceled, and mayor told council the new idea was to deed the parking lot to the roadway behind Peepaws to the fire department, and some additional property behind the fire hall for a new storage building. That should have read that we agreed to have the property surveyed and not deeded.
Because it's my understanding that you didn't make a decision at that
Correct.
meeting other than to explore.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. All right.
So,
So when you're gonna, where's your agenda? What did you do today?
I got so much stuff going here.
Yeah, right here.
Okay,
All right.
bear with us.
So you say, we are voting to accept the minutes, we did the following amendments, and you're gonna add, after accept the plan, to further explore issues affecting property and obtain more information.
okay, so
So after you accept the plan, to further explore issues, that you're gonna amend that, this particular one, after discussion about the property, this motion that you accept the plan, to further explore issues affecting property.
you can amend it to what actually happened,
Okay? So this is where you're.
not what you wish happened, but what did happen.
So, yeah. Here's where you're gonna add it, right here, okay? So you go right over to that, but you have to say this
But
first,
he
do you
did.
vote?
Yes, it's there for approval.
Other explanation.
After, read the whole,
After discussion.
yeah, so you're voting, and then here's the amendment you're gonna add. With the following amendments, and then you're gonna add
I think right now we have a motion on the floor to amend, from you, that was seconded. So do we need to clarify that in light of all this discussion of what that motion consisted of?
What is the wording, Dwayne? that you
Okay,
come up with?
after the discussion about the property, Johnny here made the motion stuff. We are gonna further explore the issues affecting the property and obtain more information. That's what we're amending on this right here.
Well, let's see, we're going to amend, is that, do you amend your motion to amend to reflect that language?
Yes.
Okay. And then you'd have a, does anybody second that amendment?
I seconded that.
Okay, so you need to vote on the amendment of the amendment.
Yeah,
Also, to take the deed out, put survey.
Okay, he also wants to take the word deed out and put survey.
Okay.
Okay, so first you need to vote on the motion to amend the amendment. So can we call on that?
okay.
Roll call.
Okay. And so now the amendment as amended, which is the most recent language we discussed, is up for vote.
Okay.
And that was originally, I think, your motion.
Yeah.
Seconded, so that's up for vote now.
I have it. You vote.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Devin?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All did.
Motion
Motion.
So the motion, so the minutes are approved as amended.
Yes. You could say that the way. Minutes are approved as amended.
As amended.
Okay, the motion is approved as amended.
Yep, the minutes are approved.
You'll just have to bear with us. Trying to figure all this stuff out, it's been an absolute nightmare. When you got, when stuff's not done legally, you can start interpreting it any way you want to, and a lot of people are interpreting it one way, and the others do it this way. But then it's up to us to figure out, to get all the information, to get everything clarified. And it ain't been easy, but. All right. Rick, let me ask you a question. You done the recording, do you know where it's at?
I would put it on the desk in there.
Okay.
As soon as it's over, if it's not in the machine itself, it may be in the machine, we'll know. If it's not in the machine, then they have.
No, we're not taking, it's not an open forum.
He asked it.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the other one.
okay. Sorry.
Hey, you just plug it in, turn it on, kick the door open, it may still be inside.
Well, it was in the folder it said October, there wasn't nothing on it.
It was blank paper. It's blank
It
paper.
didn't get finalized. If it didn't get finalized, it won't show, but you can put it back in the machine, get finalized, and it'll bring it up.
Maybe you need to wait till after the meeting and show them what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Shoot me out. Okay, on the financial report. Do I have a
I moved it was accept the finance report.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Linda? I approve it.
Yes.
Yes.
All ayes. Denver, you have anything to add to this?
Hey, there is one thing I meant to point out a while ago when I was talking. I've been on city council now for, this is 7 years, I think. And till I heard it from Mr. Slager, I never knew that this whole property was in that grant. The only thing I knew was in the grant was tennis court. So, you know, it's one thing to just be deceitful and tell me a lie. It's another thing to be deceitful and don't tell me what I need to know, to be honest. So, I'm terribly disappointed with the way things have went. And I just wanted to be clear that I have been on city council and went that long and never have been told that all of this property was under that grant. The only thing I knew was under the city. That is what.
Well, I was in the same,
You was on there about 4 or 5 years, and you did go the same thing. Now, you can't operate that way. So, that's why we're in the fix with this right now, is because we didn't get the true fact about it to start with. If you don't get the true facts, you don't get it done right. So, yes, it might be our responsibility to find out about it, but how do you find out if the person who knows it is not going to tell you anything? So, it's a job that's, till if something goes wrong, people don't think anything about it. Yeah. So, I just want to maybe get rid of some people.
he only told you what he wanted you to know.
Even if you went beyond that, which I did, they wouldn't talk to me. They said, go see Compere. Which at the time was a lot.
There's several of us asked for information in those meetings. You never got no information. I tried to get a copy of our insurance papers. Like Linda went to Knoxville, they told her they couldn't give it to him. It's open records. And what do you do? And on one instance, I asked for some information. I didn't get it, so I called Nashville. That got me the information. So that's, every time you wanted to get something other, you had to go either to the state, or it's just been a headache. But like Delmer says, what do you do when they don't tell you the truth or whatever? And the man's been here that long. It's kind of hard to follow up to that. And I think a lot of this is getting a lot of the people upset, but it's got to come out. It's got to come out. There's no way to do it but the right way, and that's by the law. And that's not telling y'all any lies. You deserve the truth no matter what. And as long as I'm there, you're going to get it. Okay, Rick, you got anything else?
Not only him, no.
No, it's all
One
right.
that we approved the budget, if that was the new financial report of the old ones that you got listed.
You want to run that by me? You're whispering.
Are we approving the new financial?
Financial report's what we approved.
Right, this-
New financial report, we got the new.
Okay, so it's the old one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm looking at.
Okay. to the old business. Up to date on the lawsuit with the Greenback Volunteer Fire Department and Tom Peeler. The county lawsuit, we hired an engineer to go over the boundaries that was in that original grant. And in that original grant, it was 3.88 acres. That was including fire department. That was. Our other alderman, Robin Blankenship, she filed a claim against the city for our insurance to pay her dad, Tom Peeler's, attorney fees and stuff. So, like I said, I'm not going to hold anything back about it. She's the one that filed the claim against the city.
She's the city council.
And we don't know yet, I believe, what the outcome of that is gonna be.
Yeah, but I'm
Provide
thinking-
a defense or not. They asked for a defense to be provided, but the insurance company is still looking at it to see whether or not it falls
Yeah.
under the terms of the policy. Meanwhile, he's hired a private lawyer, Keith Alley, of Knoxville. But
he was
still
filed?
still no answer has been filed though by Tom Peeler. Greenback Fire Department did file an answer by Jim Scott along with the counterclaim. That's where this actually sued the town back. We have filed today to disqualify Jim Scott because he was the town's attorney up until December. And it seems to me to be a conflict of interest to sue your client 4 months after you leave when you're a witness to all of the things that are at issue in the lawsuit that you're filing the counterclaim in. So we're asking the court to have him removed as counsel for the volunteer fire department. The case has been now assigned to Judge Wicks, who is normally the criminal judge. And we have filed motions for default judgment because neither the fire department nor Mr. Peeler filed their answers in a timely way. They're required to answer within 30 days of service. They didn't do so, so we filed a default. And we're getting dates to try to get that heard on the same day as the motion to disqualify. So we are proceeding. That information was very helpful that we got from the survey that was done because it showed what property was in the quitclaim deeds versus what property was in the original grant from the federal government. And very much of the property in the quitclaim deeds overlaps with what was grant property. There's just a small parcel over by Peepaws that is outside of what property was purchased with federal grant money. Everything else that was given away is going to be a problem with the state of Tennessee as far as grants are concerned, except for a small piece of property near Peepaws. So that's good for us to know. We've shared that information with the other side so that they can hopefully recognize the seriousness of what's going on. That's what I know. We're still proceeding in court and going forward as strongly as we can. We will file an answer to their counterclaim in a timely way within 30 days of being served that counterclaim. And we will certainly deny that they're entitled to any money from the town of Greenback. We have asked as well for the insurance, though, to cover the town's defense because the town has been sued. And you have an insurance policy that you pay for so that you get a lawyer for free if you get sued, right? So we've asked for that coverage under our policy, and the insurance company is looking at that to see whether it falls under the terms of the policy. But the insurance people kind of had their mind blown because they couldn't figure out who was suing who and how it all fit together. But they finally understand the facts and should be getting back to us by next week to let us know whether or not the town will be getting a defense attorney under its insurance policy. Because that would save money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I am wanting to build a pavilion in the park over here for the kids to get under, the parents to get under. I've got working on the estimate of the cost of the material. I I've already got volunteers from the community to, help build it on their own. I want to make a motion to go ahead with this plan for that pavilion.
Are you talking to the councilman?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought we settled that last time that we made a motion that what we really do is want to find out the financial prices would be.
Yeah. I think this, what I've got right now,
Dwayne, 5,000.
it's a 16 by 24. We're up to $5,000 to get that thing built. And that's with us, and that's cheap.
Yes.
That's cheap. And that's with some of us in the community getting together and building it.
Question, does it include concrete floor?
Yes.
Okay.
They include lines. Pipe and everything to
No.
it. Is one is prefab already made, it's cheaper, or building it's cheaper? I don't know.
Speak up. Yeah.
I can't speak.
I'm not here, I gotta record this.
No, I asked if, what the price, how much price difference is there with a prefab, then you building it. From my understanding, you can get a pretty nice size one for about $4,500. I don't know, so you tell me.
Well, I'd rather have it out of wood because of the lightning and stuff like that.
Well, that was out of wood.
Okay, let's difference between 45 and 5,000.
$500.
Question, is this money already budgeted, or what budget?
Yeah.
Okay, it's
Well,
already
yeah, we
budgeted.
have a capital.
You've got, it's in the capital budget, already, we already have it set aside, very good.
So that's material only, just 5,000 material only.
Got volunteers from the neighborhood to build it.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
I agree. Does the insurance have cover people working on the property and taking care of coming in?
Yep.
Do you need a second?
You need a roll, did you second it?
Yeah. I
You
second.
need a roll call?
Okay. Gentlemen?
Yes.
I second it, so I don't think you should.
Yes.
You-
Okay, it was brought up about stop signs on Morgan Road right here, which turns into 95.
With the rest of the arguments, now we're still down.
I'm reading right here what I got.
The arguments,
Well, you made the,
made that estimate.
you had it on the agenda, and I carried through talking to, Tim Guider. My first plan was to, these kids that are speeding was to have them do community service till I get the ticket, but write them a ticket and have them come see me. But that has to go through a judge. So we're gonna try the police first. And Tim said he would back me up, so we'll see. If you don't, I'll be down there at his office.
Well, I don't know, something's happened in the last week or two because it's slowed down a whole lot. I sat on the porch and drank coffee and watched all of the fun. I have daily fun from people going to school and wrecks and running our day. I almost hit this one, people driving down the entrance lane on the wrong side of the road, and you see everything that's coming. But something has happened in the last 2 weeks because it has slowed down. I don't know whether Tim's already there or what, but something's happened, I don't know whether, gas dealing said something about it at school or what, but it has slowed down.
Well, I was talking to one of the deputies yesterday morning. Tractor trailer was hung up down here, trying to get into my shop. He said that Tim Guyler had requested his men to slow him down over here, so we'll see if it continues on. But all you can do is ask for help. Okay, we got new business. It's consideration to approve the budget amendments as indicated.
No, second, this one, second page.
Says second page.
Due to the excessive legal fees and contract office labor, we will need to amend the budget as follows. That's to move $10,000 out of salary, placing $5,000 into contract labor and $5,000 into professional fees. Move $10,000 from the excess revenue into professional fees to cover additional legal fees. What that amounts to, Norma had all this, about $5,000 in excess fees, contract fees.
No, they had 1,800 or something like that.
Okay, 1,800. But
Thousand. They had $1,000 in contract.
yeah. Okay, and $1,000 in contract labor, but what she was doing, she was paying the lady that was relieving her there and paying herself. That don't add up. So.
I moved, you got it, John? Go ahead. I moved that we make the amendments as requested to the budget.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Okay, Bill?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It seems like our salary, the amount we've been paying for salary has come down 10 grand, so we're moving right along. All right. Consideration of the proposal for the 2019-2020 budget. Yeah, on this year right here.
This is a reflection, correct? This sheet.
Yeah.
$2018-19 total we've actually received. That's what it is now.
Yeah, and the left, it's in the left-hand column there.
Yeah.
And the proposal is in the right, 2019-20.
So my comment is gonna be on the cable TV.
Well, that is based on what we've gotten to date, that revenue has increased from the cable. You know, we don't have any say in it, we just get a check. And that has increased that much.
So we picked up $6,000 right there from Okay, go ahead.
7,000. Well, we're guessing, this is a proposal. So last year's proposal was 8,000. We are probably close to the 15,000 right now, or maybe at 15,000.
So it's a gain of $7,000, almost.
All right.
Because these are all proposals for the upcoming year. And the first page is your revenue.
And local sales taxes increased over the year.
Yes,
That's good.
thanks to all our citizens purchasing things.
Linda, you're trying to carry it over.
Our state income tax, they didn't even have it in the budget. But that was $4,500 to us.
The hall income tax on dividends,
I thought that,
they mainly got get rid of it.
I thought they got rid of it.
Yeah.
I thought they did last time.
Mainly.
Is it still gonna be there?
I think it's there in a much limited form.
Did
The hall
you
income tax.
look at the expenses?
I thought they took that
Yes,
away.
yes, yes.
2 years ago.
Yes. And you might want to state that, that the professional fees, last year they budgeted 5,000. This year we budgeted 20,000 based on lawsuit and representation for the lawsuit.
We went up on the advertisement because you gotta put this stuff in the paper. They never did, so. Capital outlay went from $35,000 to $40,000, and the $40,000, what I'm figuring on is this building here, when you stand here and look out the windows, you can see daylight on the sides, the rain blows in, so we're gonna have to do some serious repairs to this building. And so far, I've got one estimate that's $8,800 to pressure wash this building, fix all the holes, and to put 2 coats of stain on it. And that's not counting the stain itself, but that's to put the 2 coats on. So it's not bad. And the trim work outside, from what we're looking at, we can do that in-house a whole lot cheaper. I have a bid on getting the stuff took off the windows here. You can see it up there. That was $1,500 to take that off. Well, you can look up there and Roger and Don or Bob, it takes him right at an hour to get that stuff off. And some of the windows are a little bit less. So it's a whole lot cheaper to do it in-house. So, and I'm going to take advantage of every time that I can get stuff done in-house cheaper. It's just saving money. And that's where I'm at on that. So,
Oh, you're asking me on that capital outlay for standing there.
no, I haven't got the price on this thing.
I mean, contract, like,
That was the later, the pressure washing,
what is it?
8,800. That's one of them. Yeah. We'll get 3, yeah. Say we did, yeah. But, I had this couple said they would help us on the stain.
That's high. That stuff's happening.
Yeah. So we may have to pick up cans along the road. Okay. Our office expenses, they come down 1,000. The insurance is practically staying the same. The library is staying the same. And we got miscellaneous little stuff coming up that stayed the same. The museum, same. Payroll taxes have come down. And the postage had to go up because we got to help some of this stuff out.
Postage went up.
Yeah, postage went up. And here went professional fees from 5 to 20,000. The repair and maintenance, it was budgeted 15,000 and I raised it to 17,000. The salaries, they had budgeted 60,000, we're at 50. So it's come down. The street lights went up. They bought new lights, and that was $17,000 worth of lights.
Christmas lights.
Christmas lights. And we went up on supplies, another $500. And the telephone, internet stayed the same. The utilities had stayed the same. And we went from $171,800 to $184,000. So I think we're doing good. We're finding places to save money. And when we save money, we can do more for the city. Okay, I got a motion to accept
I'll
it.
make a motion to accept this.
Second.
We need a roll call, okay.
Devin?
Aye.
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 So we actually increased out of $13,800. Just so far for the physical year, is that right?
I'm gonna get them. I'll still get some more bids on this, to clean and repair the building. Okay. Do I have any comments from the citizens? You got anything?
I have a comment. Do you have any comment? Okay.
We'll put it on the
I want to be sure everyone there sees me, so am I too close, far enough? And this isn't because I want to be on camera, but there is a lot, can you hear me when I'm talking to this? Is that okay? There is a lot of confusion as to how this property we're discussing ever got to be the city's, who paid for the property, what involvement the state had in the property. And so I want to go over this for everyone who is not here, because these people can hear me, to let you know exactly how things went down. I have heard things from a million different things, that the state gave us the property, no, Hazel McInturf gave us the property. I have heard that the Lett family purchased the property for $10,000 and they donated it to our city. I've heard everything under the sun, and I want to clarify this, and I want to clarify it with paperwork. So this is documentation, and this is how we roll up in here now. So this is documentation, and I will be posting this documentation on the city's website and on the Facebook page. If you need the link, you just go right on to the website, and it'll be right there under the public information tab. So this is very important information
for you to educate yourself with, so you know exactly where we're coming from and where we stand. Everybody got that? September 4th of 1974, this 3.8 acres, 3.88, and that's a very important number, was deeded to the city of Greenback from Hazel McInturf, 1974. The only occurrence having anything to do with this property registered with the state before then is when it went into that family in 1939. If the Letts had possibly given the property and bought it for $10,000. There's absolutely no record of that anywhere in the state of Tennessee that I can find. If you find something else, I'd love to know that. The only record we have is where this property was transferred by deed from Hazel McInturf and given to the town. At the time, Mrs. McInturf insisted that it be used for recreation areas, a community center, a fire department, things like that. So we understand there's a fire department there. It was supposed to be there when Hazel McInturf gave the property. Everything's all cool. We have a library. That was in her intention. In, let's see, September of 1980. Now this is key here, okay? The state did not give us this land because we already owned the land. What the state did is gave us a grant to develop this 3.88 acres into recreation area, okay? So then all of this 3.88 acres, which I will be putting the survey of on the website so you can see 3.88 acres, was covered under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Secretary of Interior, covered for recreation purposes. Now what that means when you get a grant from the state of Tennessee and the federal government that says, we're going to give you a bunch of money and you're going to develop this park system. You can put in a tennis court, you can put in little league fields, you can put in walking trails, anything that has to do with recreation and outdoor recreation. So that happened. Now I want to just read here on the deed that the city did when that deed was given by the state, or when that grant was given by the state. And in this grant, and I'll be printing this on the website, so it says, being the same 3.8 acres that was deeded to the city of Greenback by Hazel McInturf in 1974 and adapted in a quitclaim deed in 1978, same exact 3.88 acres. Notice of limitation of use, once we accepted that grant, reads as follows. The property conveyed herein has been acquired or developed, which is what we did, with federal financial assistance provided by the Heritage Conservation and Recreation Service, formerly the Board of Outdoor Recreation of the Department of Interior, in accordance with the Land and Water Conservation Fund Act of 1965, as amended in 1970, pursuant to a requirement of that law. That's a federal law. It's federal law. This property may not be converted to anything other than public outdoor recreation uses, whether by transfer, sale, or in any other manner, without the express written approval of the Secretary of Interior. Now, does everyone here understand what express written consent means? That means it's written and it's express consent mailed to us on file for us to have, correct? It's very important. By law, the Secretary shall approve such conversion only if he finds it to be in accord with the then existing comprehensive statewide outdoor recreation plan, and only upon such conditions as he deems necessary to assure the substitution of other recreation properties of at least equal fair market value and, this is important, of reasonable equivalent usefulness and location. So what that means is if we touch, let's say, a 40 by 40 foot square on this property, we've got to replace this whole property because we messed with the federal government's land without asking their permission. That's where it's at. If we decided that we wanted to sell a 40 by 40 foot piece of property, and the Secretary of Interior said, okay, you know, I see why you need to put what you're putting there. For instance, if we needed a first aid stand or something, and we like, it has to go here, it can only go here, they would be like, great. If you'll purchase a 40 by 40 foot square somewhere else, then it can take its place. But if you do this stuff without their permission, it ain't happening. You're replacing the entire piece of property. Now, in 1993, we had the transfer of the land that currently holds our fire department building right there. Now, that building existed before Hazel McInturf, before Hazel McInturf did it, they built the fire department. But before this grant came along, okay? When this grant came along, which was to develop this area in recreation, that fire department belonged to who? Anybody know? The city, that's correct, that's right. And you saw that the written consent thing, I just read you, right? That you can't just transfer stuff and give it away without what? Written consent from the Secretary of the Interior, right, okay. So, what we have here then is we have an affidavit that was given by our previous mayor, Tom Peeler, and it reads, I have consulted with the National Park Service and the Department of Conservation based on my recollection, okay, this is not written consent, this is based on my recollection, what he remembers. I have determined that the original City of Greenback Recreation Park and the project boundary in question did not include the property which has been transferred to the Greenback Volunteer Fire Department by a quitclaim deed, recorded in Deed Book 204, page 108, Loudoun County Registrar's Office. We have not been able to come up with any written consent from the state. The state is now looking into the fact that they don't know if that transfer of property to the fire department was legit either. We don't know. So we don't know where we stand on that. The thing is so much stuff was done here just by saying something. And that's what I want to get back to, documentation. Documentation is what we're running on up here. I want everybody to know that. You can't argue with a piece of paper with the state of Tennessee seal on it. You can't argue with backup. And there are so many people in here that are saying, well, I heard it was this, well, I heard it was that. Well, we don't care what you heard. We want to show you paperwork. And if you need to see this paperwork, it will be on our website. It will be completely available at the mayor's office anytime, and we'll be glad to help you. But it's very, very important that people understand the seriousness of what is going on right here. For instance, we have this very interesting thing I came across today, and this is the June 2018 minutes, the June minutes. And in this meeting, the mayor says that he met with the state department officers with information on the tennis courts, and that the state officer told him he can obsolete those tennis courts due to age. A motion was made and then seconded to obsolete the tennis court. Everybody said, that's great, we'll obsolete the tennis courts, right? So then we come back in October. Now that was in June. And then in October, the same mayor said, mayor told council the tennis courts were still being looked into the state as to whether or not we can obsolete them or not. So we're saying they're obsolete, and then we're saying they're not obsolete. But the thing it boils down to is if you're messing with federal granted land, what does it take to get it done? Express written consent, and that's the thing. It's important, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if we think it's the best idea in the world and we're gonna have like somewhere to give away puppies to orphan kids and make it doesn't matter. We have got to have express written consent, and that's where we stand with the federal government. So just to review this again, September of 1974, Hazel McInturf gave us 3.88 acres. In 1980, the government came in and said, we're gonna give you all this money to develop this 3.88 acres into a recreation area. Now that means you can't do anything with it except recreation. In 1993, we somehow came upon ourselves to think that we can give recreation area money away to the Greenback Fire Department. The Greenback Fire Department and the property they're on is 0.3 acres. Now if you look on the map, Greenback owns 3.58 acres and the fire department owns, guess, 0.3. And if you put those two things together, how much does that make?
3.88.
And in the deed that the city has in this grant, it covers how much?
3.88.
I'm just saying, I don't know any other way to explain it. I don't know how to get it to people's heads. I don't mean to stomp up and down. You're not trying to go after somebody, but we're in trouble with the federal government, and we don't care who has to go down for what. They didn't do it. You didn't do it. You didn't do it. I didn't do it. Didn't. So the person that kicked the dog and got caught kicking the dog is the one that gets punished for kicking the dog, and that's the way I see it. Thank you.
That's the reason I got her on board. And Miss Russell back here. Okay. You have any comment on that?
Yeah, it was helpful to me.
Yeah, was it? Okay. Anybody else?
I want to publicly apologize for getting upset last minute. I had just found out my sister was dying. That's not an excuse, but I did go off on y'all, and I apologize for that. I don't own the property across, as somebody said in here. No, I don't. And whatever the city wants to do, that's fine. I just wanted to publicly apologize for being upset last minute.
Just made you fit right in, don't worry.
You want to make your comment about the park?
Well, I knew there was some concern about the park, and if there's ever any problem, I have that park as video surveillance. My house has video surveillance around it, and that park is covered.
That's good.
Was there any
Is this the park next
questions?
to Tom's house?
Yes.
Take it to my house.
Yeah,
So for any other 40-year-old women, if you can't make it on the feet, I'm slow players. I believe that we had a gentleman who wanted to speak about starting a neighborhood watch program. Would this be a good time to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Sands? I didn't recognize you. Can you come up here and speak so you can be on camera? Thank you. Sure. Just go right up in there.
Okay. Well, we were wanting to start a neighborhood watch program to help the community. You know, we got a lot of people littering and a lot of things going on, and I think the police needs help. And I'd like to propose that. And we would need volunteers. And I was thinking maybe 2 weeks from today, or 2 weeks and 1 day, we have the sheriff come down here and give us neighborhood watch signs and give us a speech on what we can do for the community. And I would like to get everyone down here who wants to be involved and make that happen.
Did you run it by Tina?
I ran it by the secretary. She said we need to come up with a place and a time and let them know and he'll be here.
We have to get that on the next agenda.
I spoke with Debbie Hines from the sheriff's office, and she said that they are very good about coming out and giving us training on what to look for, notice differences in things, I guess, come out and just be involved. I think the thing is we always have this problem of kind of being over here by ourselves as far as Loudoun County goes. We're kind of, separated. But we are also a very close-knit community, and I know if I drive by one of my neighbor's houses and there's a door standing open and their cars aren't there, we automatically want to look, you know what I mean? But making ourselves more aware, I think, is a great thing. I'll be putting out an event page about it and letting people know when it's going to be. And so if anybody would like to join just to learn some more about the neighborhood watch, we would love to have you. And when the sheriff comes up, like you say, we're going to bring signs and kind of help us out. We appreciate you, first of all, stepping up and taking interest in our town. We appreciate everyone here, first of all, but we really do appreciate when a citizen comes out and sees something that they think needs changed and that we need help on, and you step up and do it. It means a lot, so thank you for that.
Oh, no problem.
Okay?
Thank you.
Awesome, thanks.
At one time, we had a gentleman from down here at Chalco Point. They got a program down there. And each one of those gentlemen has a number assigned to them. And when they spot something down there, they call in to the sheriff's department and they give their number. I brought them here when I was on the city council to get that started here. But the roadblock we run into is Tom wanted them to report to him personally. I'd go through the police department.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
You know, I mean, and they refuse to go on them grounds, and I don't blame them. So.
I will have to say that earlier when you were talking about when you get barricaded by everything that you try to do to help, and Delmer saying the things that he said about not having the information given to them. But you just saying, what do you do when you can't get anything done? And in my opinion, you get a new mayor. So I think that worked out okay. I did.
Well,
I think that Loudon already has a
no offices are in it. Not very good. Yeah, they come through Greenback, they go through Loudoun County. Is that, I've seen they come up, Wilmington Road and, Meadow Road before, so. Not, well, they're not Greenback citizens, but
Yeah.
there's a group that, most of them are out of Telecom. But they, but they cruise all of Loudoun County, so if you want increased cruise here, you talk to Tim, and I'm sure that they would.
I talked to Tim and he said that he wouldn't do it because Tom wanted everything to come for him
Guys,
first.
my man drove it down here, he had it for about a month, Tom put a stop to it.
Vandermeer.
And, yeah.
On Vandermeer.
He drove one for about a month, and he took the car away from him. So
Yeah.
Tom wanted to tell him what to do.
That's right.
Tom's not here, so that's gonna be okay.
Well, he may still won't tell him what to do.
I tell you what. Let me get with, Tim and we'll take in Mr. Sands' ideals. Let's start this all over again. And about with the Telco Village, because they got a lot of, I believe the last count I had, they had 50-something guys that could do that thing, drive around at night.
But you know why they do it?
Why?
They don't have to pay property on it.
They don't, well, have you not talked to this officer?
But if citizens here want to do it, what I think that Mrs. Sanders said, demonstrate our citizens to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I go along with that, that'd be helpful too.
Yeah.
But if we can get Telco Village and health officers driving through the community also.
Well, any officers want to see
We don't want Telco Village out.
No, we don't want to tell them the village, we're talking about Rarity.
Foothills Point?
Foothills Point.
What is point, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
We don't think-
Anyway,
I have two questions. First one is, you had talked about Miss Norma double dipping, paying whoever it was doing her job and then paying herself as well. Is there any way that we can figure out how long she'd been doing that and how much actually she'd been embezzling from the city, and is that a chargeable offense?
Well, probably in the past years, that she's been extremely sick, but we know every time we're okay.
I don't think unless it was specifically in the city charter that if she was absent and she paid somebody else, unless it specifically said that they both couldn't draw a salary, I don't think there would be anything legal that we could do. I mean, because there was nothing specifically in the job description that said when she was absent. I don't know. I would have to see her job description if there was one on file. I doubt.
It's just hard to prove if somebody wasn't working, if they say, oh, well, I was working. It's hard to prove a negative. If she says, oh, I was at home working, or I was, doing something when that lady was here, it's just really hard to prove in retrospect without our own witnesses.
yeah.
The second question is, who in here are City of Greenback residents? Okay. I asked the second thing, who in here is City of Greenback residents to hold up their hands? The thing of it is, with Alderman Blankenship, she has asked that former mayor be compensated for attorney's fees. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want an alderman sitting on the board that's not represented here at the meetings. She's not here. She's not been here.
In the 4 meetings since we've had, she's only attended one that I know of.
Now, the only way that you can get her out is sign a petition for 10 people to sign that petition and oust her.
Or is there something in the charter on how many that,
No, it has to be 10 people to sign a piece of paper to petition that her be removed from city council. Now, I, for one, say that be signed tonight and get her off the board.
I agree.
Now, if somebody can draw up a petition and sign it and get her off the city council, I say it be done. Because I'm sorry? You have to have city citizens sign it to get her off of the city council. If she's not gonna be here and she's not going to take part in the city council that she was elected to, why is she here? Why is she still here?
Is there anything in the bylaws about business?
Yeah, I thought there was
Yeah, how
something
many
in the
times
bylaws.
is a person listed before they can be?
And ask somebody, you have to have grounds, and I would have to look and see what grounds are available. It can't just be, it can't be changed my mind about the election, it has to have, you have to have grounds for ouster, and I don't know if what she is doing meets the grounds or not.
Melanie, would you be able to find those grounds?
Sure, yes.
So I'll get back to you on that. We'll give you that. Thank you.
But I'm unaware of any specific number of meetings. You know, sometimes you do have bylaws and organizations, but if you miss so many meetings, you're automatically out. This organization doesn't have
Our charter
that.
needs to be reviewed.
But the charter comes from state law, so it's not up to us to amend it, it's up to the legislature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you check it out, you'll see that she does not have to be present at the meeting to even, to cast a vote. But next election, you know, it can be stated, you know, well, you didn't attend any meeting. So it's up to the voters to be able to take a petition and try to oust her out. We can't.
So she can be voted out, she can't be ousted out.
Well, we're gonna look into the ouster issue.
So it's 2 years before?
Yeah, I don't know if she meets, if anything meets the grounds for
Well, not
ouster.
listen, you all get together and, send a
Well,
petition to the.
I think she's gonna check to see if we have grounds to do a petition to request.
The voter registration office,
I'm sorry?
the voter registration office would then help us out.
Oh, I can just look it up. It's okay. Yeah, if I had my phone, I could look it up right now, but look at the car.
I have an ouster.
I would be sure that there is some legal method that we can follow, but for us to suppose that we can do this or do that or do the other, we're getting back into the same bucket of worms that we've been in for a long time. So we need to make sure that we're handling this totally legal. So we need to have some people to check into it and see just exactly what can happen. I don't want to be guilty of doing something else that's not legal,
I have one
because
question.
I don't know, you know.
She is gone, how are you guys gonna replace her?
If she is declared not a city council
Until the next election.
by whatever means, it doesn't matter, she is replaced the same way that we
But would
replaced.
you, I think what he's asking, would you wait till the next election or would the mayor
No.
appoint somebody to
If-
take
if-
her place?
If that seat becomes open, for whatever reason, then it's been the policy of the board to replace that alderman.
The mayor lets you.
Unless it's right at, you know, close to an election and we would not. But,
How do you go about doing it?
You're
it is,
forced.
it is all
I just
done
want
by
to
the
make it
board.
clear, because I don't know.
It's all done by the board. It's-
The mayor
The
makes
mayor
a recommendation.
recommends-
and
I'll
then all
recommend-
vote
They
on
vote
it.
on it.
They vote on
And we vote on it.
it. Do what?
If
It's true, he breaks the tie, that's right.
That's right.
That can happen.
What's our attorney down here, Russell in Loudoun County?
Russell Johnson.
Yeah, I think if you get those 10 signatures, you take it before him, then he can do that. And that takes the legal, responsibility from the city away.
It's a big ordeal.
Well, I don't know where he'll do it. Everybody says he won't do nothing, but
Well, we don't know anything about big ordeals in this town, so that
the 10 signatures, if you get them, you can take them down there to allow them to Russell. It'll be up to him. He can do the ousting. He can get the grounds and see whether, Buzz shakes his head and says no, but, you know.
He's a beekeeper, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just telling you, they tried to oust me one check off the school board or something here about 8 or 10 years ago.
It's hard.
It goes to trial.
It's hard.
It's a big ordeal.
It is a
It
big
is.
ordeal.
It's more than 10 signatures and saying, you know, I approve it, it's over with, that ain't that.
Well, I'm saying you take it before him,
I
let
don't
him.
know if you take it or not, but it goes to trial.
It's a big deal because you're overturning the will of the people in the vote, and so they make it hard. Right?
Like West Monson did the gun, but you know, they didn't call it guns, like this, it would happen.
Keep it legal.
Well, why don't we let Melanie check into that? Can you check into
I'll
that?
check into the process, yes, but I do know that it is complicated.
Oh, shit.
People need to know in the election too, when they put those 4 aldermen on there, you do not have to vote for all 4 of them. You can vote for one of them,
I wrote in.
and you can write in.
However, if there is 4 people on there and you don't vote, and I'll give you an example.
If I don't vote what?
If you don't vote for two of them,
Well, I didn't say didn't like all 4 of them.
but if you don't vote for 2 of them, they still gonna get elected.
Oh, there's nobody. Yeah, there's nobody.
That's stupid.
Nobody runs against
Let me
that.
tell you just what happened in the last election. 4 aldermen. One of them received 347 votes. The next one received 290, and another one received 290, and one received 130. Now, how did that happen? Except somebody voted for one and didn't vote for all of them. But 4 people got elected.
Because they ran against them.
Well, there's 4 on there that don't vote for all 4 of them.
But
I'm not
even,
going to
I think
anyway.
his point was, is though, even if you don't vote for
If
them,
you
they're
don't
still
vote,
gonna get elected.
You don't vote, they're still gonna get elected.
Because there's no one running against them.
Well, if there's somebody running against them, it still would get elected.
Okay,
Top
I see
4 would
I
get
see what
elected.
you're saying.
Yeah.
But, the last election, before the next election, everybody will come up in the last minute and say, let's round him in. You can't do that.
It don't work.
To be wrote in, you gotta qualify.
You gotta qualify, you gotta do all the same things that a candidate did to be a write-in candidate.
So you gotta get some done.
Well, before the next election, we'll all be very educated on everything that goes on.
If you do a write-in and listen, they've got, on the ballot,
We get a good
it ain't no good.
You're gonna vote for another mayor, huh? That'd be good.
Good thing.
Okay.
We'll get Taylor back there.
I hear you. I guess you gotta have a life sometime or another, but
Hey, Kathy had actually texted to tell me to make him behave, and I failed, and I'm very sorry.
I hear you. The thing about the trailer down here on Morton Road,
Yes.
that situation, there's a court date. The guy that owns the property has been trying to get them people out, has not been able to, but he's got a court date for the 23rd. Well, I had it wrong. I'm correcting that. I hope all the bees sting him.
Are those, I know, he's nothing but a pain, but do you know anything on if the fact that child services have been contacted about those children being in the road on Morganton Road? Those little children?
I've noticed they moved that camper in too.
They have, but the little children were in the road, and people were able to small.
Well, the guy, I give him all the, what he had to go through,
Okay,
and he called and said he had a court date set for
okay,
23rd.
okay.
So that's about all you can do to try to get somebody out.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Fuzz can't get them out, so
Right.
It's hard to get, if you have rental properties, it's hard to get rid of a tenant. You can't cut their power off, you can't do any of that stuff.
You can if they don't have children.
No, you can't.
No, you can't.
You can't.
You can't cut power off.
No, you can't. You cannot cut their power off. You absolutely not. I work for the utilities, I know.
If it's in my hand.
It don't matter. If you have a lease agreement with them, it says you provide them utilities, you cannot cut it off even if it's in your name. What if you don't have a lease agreement?
been down that road.
The court is always going to side with the tenant.
Do we have anything else?
Okay, real quick, I'm sorry. Answer your question to these guys, that's how we had a mayor for so long, because nobody ran against him. And it doesn't matter if he got 5 votes or 5,000 votes, he was the only one on the ballot. So that's how the alderman thing and all that stuff, that's all how that works out. One question, talking about the pavilion, that you're talking about building, where is that property? And then does that fall under the same guidelines as what we're talking about if you use the property for a 40 by 40 square? You gotta get it somewhere else to do it. Does it fall under that, or do we have to go through and get state permission for that?
Can you say that again?
We're talking about the pavilion.
Yes.
In building that pavilion, do we have to still go through the state like we're talking about with it?
That stays on that park over there,
Okay, so
so
it's not in
then
that
nothing to do with
3.88
this.
acres.
No.
But I will tell you, I'll tell you also, it was very odd to me that in 1993, we gave 0.3 acres of that 3.88 acres, got that number, away. And 2 years after that, or in 96, I'm sorry, we came in and we bought 0.3 acres from Ms. Queener and we put that park in, which had that been transferred with written consent from the U.S. Secretary of Interior. If that would have happened, then that would have been what we would have had to do. So that park on 0.3 acres somehow popped up 3 years after we gave away 0.3 acres. I don't know if that means anything, but I do know that's when that park occurred. So
that's not in
that
the
part's not in here. No, that part we can do whatever. We can put ponies on it, which I personally would really like, but whatever. But we can do what we want to with it. It is not under jurisdiction of the federal government. Yeah.
So I'm glad that you asked the question that you did about getting signatures to get the person off. But at the same time, if she doesn't show up, does that really affect anything as long as 4 people are here? So if it turns into a big hassle, you can just wait for the next election.
Well, she would have to excuse herself because this is conflict of interest.
I mean, it would depend, I mean, she could be here and participate in the meeting.
Yeah.
If there were votes that fall under conflict of interest, issues, then she would have to disclose her conflict of interest and not vote potentially on some issues.
The first meeting that we had, she voted no on every single thing.
She did.
So one of you guys, she voted no, it's a pass, so it doesn't, her one.
Not really gonna have that happen.
Yeah, by herself, she can't do anything.
But if she's not gonna be here to represent her constituents, why would she want to be on the council?
We got these guys here.
Well, she can.
Be happy with what we got at this point.
And in all actuality, if Tom sits on the nonprofit fire department, and if he was mayor of the city of Greenback, when anything was discussed about anything to do with the fire department, or voted on, he should have recused himself from that vote legally.
Yeah, and identify the conflict.
That's what we have to do with our nonprofit, if we have to do with anything other than the nonprofit, the other nonprofit that he was on. Right. So that wasn't even legal for what he did.
We all agree on all this, I mean, I think that's kind of thing we all agree on. Okay, 2 more things. On the repairs and stuff to the building and stuff like that, I want to throw out an idea. When the very first meeting happened, we had a tragedy that happened in this town, and we were all gung-ho about doing stuff for the kids and everything. And while I love all the little things that we've done, the improvements and stuff, that's great, there's nothing that we've done for the kids. And I wonder, when are we gonna ask the kids? Maybe, you know, you got a bunch of adults that are trying to figure out what kids want, and we're not kids. So maybe meet with some seniors or, you know, the student council of the school and get some ideas from them. What do you need? What can we as your parents and your community do to make this a better place for you?
Absolutely, and that's one thing that we really need to work on, in my opinion, and I will try to get started with the permission of council, is to have a liaison between the city government and the children that are in school. And one way I would like to implement that is to have junior aldermen. There are several cities that have junior aldermen, and that's a really neat thing. First of all, it teaches the kids a good degree of respect for what goes on in this city. They're paying attention, and not only that, but when kids come here, if it's 2 kids that are juniors in high school, they're gonna go back to their parents and they're gonna believe, you ain't gonna believe this stuff. Do you know what I mean? If something's happening, then somebody's accountable. Absolutely. Yes, yeah. But we could have junior aldermen, which would not have voting, but they would be representative of the school, and they could come in and say, this is what the kids have been talking about. What do you all think about that? They could work with me then on events, things like that. And so it would make sense to have them be in that. So that will go into the works. We're at the end of the school year right now, so we'll try to have some really great summer events, but I would hope that by the next school year, we will institute and get a liaison between the city and the school that will try to make that happen with your all's permission.
We used to have junior aldermen.
We need to bring them back. Yeah, I agree. Is
So
that okay?
with that being said, instead of paying somebody $8,000 to come in and do this, why can't we get with maybe some of the local churches and have their youth groups come in, or you know, some of the kids from school, and maybe they want to get involved, have them come in, have like a big celebration day for the kids, you know, maybe have some music and stuff, so they want to be here to participate in it. Well, you guys too.
Well, we
so that maybe, I mean, that's something that you maybe explore that instead of just automatically saying, well, you're not going to have them on the ladder, but
They can paint the low parts.
Yeah, I mean, if we have people that are willing to show up to build a pavilion, then surely we've got grown-ups that are willing to come in and donate equipment and everything, because I think everybody loves our town. I mean, everybody, this is the most we band together and everything. And to kind of close, what I wanted to tell you guys, I think you're doing a fabulous job. Delma, I appreciate you saying what you said to start with. You're one of the kindest, nicest men I've ever known in this town. I've known you for a long time. Like I said the first meeting, the problem was we the people didn't show up. So we bear the burden of the responsibility just as much as anybody else, because we all knew crooked stuff was going on. Everybody knew it. We all talked about it, but nobody came to the meetings and said anything. So you guys are sitting there hearing one thing, and then after you leave, other things being done. And I don't fault you for that. I don't fault any of you guys. But since you've been here in this year, I'm proud of what you guys have done. I think you've come a long way. I'm glad that you're helping out with this, and for all you guys, because it wasn't like this. I mean, it seriously, most of the meetings didn't occur in this room. They occurred out in the lobby.
That's true.
On a sofa. And you might have had 2 or 3 people maybe show up, and they talked around and they didn't say anything. So I appreciate everybody finally showing up. This is a good thing. I think we're going in the right direction with this. I hate that it took this to get our community to come together and everything, but dang, look how far we've come in just a short amount of time and everything. So I just want to let you guys know I appreciate you, and I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. One thing to that, we have looked into and explored, but basically that means I've spoken to Dwayne and Lisa and Deborah, whoever, to see about how we can use this community center to reach out to youth. If we need to have like a little rec center area downstairs, or if we need to do events. And if you would be interested, or anybody, I know that Terry and Kim are going to be interested in helping. If you know of anyone that would be interested in getting a a youth reach out kind of program through the city to help us with that, I would be more than happy to hear any and all ideas that are out there. We have had a loss of a child this year due to suicide, and we've had some other children that were stopped just in time from committing suicide. And we need to take that very, very seriously. We hear stories of bullies at school a lot, but we also hear stories of the people who are telling people they're being bullied is because the kids are being jerks to the other people around them. I mean, it's a hard thing to do, you know what I mean? But we do know that there are children in need, not just physical need, but emotional need. And I think that we have a very, very caring set of people in this town. And if anyone would be interested in that, you can message me on Facebook, you call me, whatever you need to do. And we'll try to start getting that rolling, okay?
Joe had a question.
Yes.
You got a question about something?
Joe, did you have a question?
You have that referred to in your community page about the community garden. What are you talking about?
Okay. So at Century Harvest Farms, right down here on the left, I'll send you the address. They have given us a plot of land and they have tilled it up. They're providing all of the plants, all of the tools, everything we need. And we go down and we plant the garden. We have a volunteer sign-up sheet that you can sign up on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday from 9 to 12, and you can go down and work in the garden. They'll give you the tools. They'll give if it's planting time, they'll give you the plants. If it's harvest time, they'll show you what you need to do. We have to weigh the vegetables before we take them out. And then we bring them over here on Wednesday evenings or Tuesdays, so our food pantry can have fresh vegetables to give out to the people who access our food pantry. It's really cool. I will go with you. We'll get our overall
Is this
time.
something that's only for the citizens of the city?
If you want to
Or is
work in that
it
garden,
community?
no, it's not. It's a community garden.
Let me say this.
Yes.
I'm Joe Hall.
Yes.
I'm 71 years old. And about 15 years ago, I was down at the co-op one day, and Tom Miller was down there. And there was something going on in the city. And so I asked Tom about it. Tom turned around very polite and told me, he said, "You don't live in the city. It's none of your business. Just stay out of it. If we want you to know anything, we'll tell you." Now, I don't know about other people who don't live in the city, but I personally,
You know, I don't live in the city.
We don't either.
Raise your hand if you don't live in the city. Anybody
but
else
the
live in the
thing
city?
about it
It's
is, we may not all live in the city,
It's our
but we
community.
live in the Greenback community.
That's exactly right.
And this community has been divided.
It has been.
And since Mayor Birchfield has come in, I'm seeing a start of a united
Do you
community.
know before?
Like in 1974, if I'm not mistaken, this building was built by the Lions Club and by volunteers
In the community.
of the community.
It's called the community center.
And that's, the thing about it is, yes, I realize that there's certain things that are in the city that don't affect me. But there are other things, because I live in the Greenback community, do affect me.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to just tell you one of my main concerns right now is I think if the fire department is suing the city, are they going to provide, how are they going to treat the guys out in the country? Do we still have fire protection even though we pay dues? Are they going to give us the same service that they have in the past?
Yes, they are.
Or is there going to be a grudge type thing?
I don't think that any person at that fire department acting as a firefighter, I'll say that. There may be people on the board, I don't know, but as far as active volunteer firefighters, I do not think there is a single person there that would not break their back to get to you to put out a fire. I think that they would be at my house within 2 seconds. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. This is a legal matter. It is not a personal matter. It is simply not a personal matter. It is a legal matter.
Question.
Yes.
Jim right there used to work for the Greenback Fire Department. And he's still, we've got several members that is at the fire department in Blount County. That's a member of the Greenback Rescue Squad. Greenback Rescue Squad is available and has qualified men and women has took classes and have stayed away weekends to be qualified to help this community. So to answer that question, whether there's an animosity with the people or not, if they didn't answer your call, you can rest assured a rescue squad will grab the equipment and be at your house.
Well, I can rest assured you the fire department would be there.
I'll be there with you.
They would have. There's no doubt. And I have talked to several. They do not like what is going on, and they would be there. I can rest assured you
Well,
that.
if they don't for some reason, I want everyone to blame Fuzz. because
Yeah.
he's on the-
You
sue
What
Fuzz.
she said again. What you said again. If they would not answer a call, what would happen?
Jim, would you like to stand up since everybody?
I know who Jim is. You say what you said.
I was informed by the rescue squad. Now my understanding was, if they answer and take the call, they have to go out. But if they don't, and it's a call that goes out on the scanners, the men that is qualified as firefighters at the rescue squad will get the equipment and be at your house.
Here's what equipment.
No, they won't.
Well, I'll tell you one thing right now, and I ain't got nothing against you, and I ain't got nothing against the rescue squad. And I'm not speaking for the fire department, but if there's a fire call comes in, and the fire department will answer it, and there will be nobody from the rescue squad get any fire department equipment from Greenback Fire Department. I can trust bank on that. So you don't know what you're talking about there. So best sit down.
But my understanding was, I'm not trying to overtalk or tell you.
You ain't over talking, I'm just telling you what's gonna happen, so don't, just be quiet. Just be quiet. Best thing to do is sit down.
I was told by the chief.
I don't care what you was told by, I'm telling you. And like I say, I'm not no spokesman for the fire department. Cause probably Ronnie and them, they might get upset now. But we still answer calls together, don't get me wrong.
I believe they would go out.
But they, don't stand up and say if the fire department won't answer a call. The fire department will answer calls. We answer them all hours of the day. But they know that if they don't answer and the rescue squad will get the fire department equipment, that ain't gonna happen.
I guess
Trust
that's
me.
the key.
Well, we got a good fire department. Those guys put their lives on the, every time they go out.
We got
It doesn't matter who.
But we've got some in the fire department that's listening to Tom Wheeler and he's driving
Exactly.
down the wrong road.
Exactly. But the rescue squad, I got confidence in them.
They're good.
They should be working together,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they can't get, it's just like Ronnie won't talk to me, he won't have nothing to do with the rescue squad. But the people in this town need to support both of them.
Yes.
And I will.
That's very true. That's very true.
I will. Because these people, they put their lives on the line every time they go out. Standing on that road out there trying to get people out of cars, you get run over. So, and I've never said anything bad about the fire department or the rescue squad. And I'm not. I have the utmost respect for them. So, whatever this comes of this will come. I mean, we're doing what we, by the law, and if there's certain people in that fire department that are not working, they need to step up. Well, your husband goes out there.
My son goes out one
And
day.
son, yes, okay. But you gotta have, whoever's in charge over there needs to have respect for the guys that are out there fighting that fire.
Exactly, exactly,
And need to stand up for them.
exactly.
You don't need to be bad now and treat them like a bunch of dogs. Anyway,
Yep.
let's get together and work with the fire department and the rescue squad. And
I remember before we had any,
Anybody that had a fire, the house burned down. If you had somebody that needed to go to the hospital, you put them in the back of the car, run like crazy to get them to the hospital.
Or a funeral home.
Or a funeral home. But, listen, I watched this community, I'm 87 years old, and I watched this community organize to build all of these facilities around here. And the rescue squad and the fire department, people have sacrificed their time and money and everything else to get this together. We need to hold it, what we got.
That's right.
We need to hold it together. I won't be here too long.
We need to honor the people that put in the time to do it.
This building here, not any tax money went in this building.
Nope. It was all raised by not just the city, but by the community.
People come together to work, and they worked hard, and all kinds of bake sales and all kinds of different fundraisers to get this building. We got it, and I don't know where the dividing line is, but the city started paying the light bill and paying the other things, and the city, I think, thought they had it to themselves, and they did. That's where we're at.
Yeah, that's where we are.
Well, I'm here with the city council right here, and the people in this town. We're gonna get it back together where we can have a great time, enjoy each other's company, and build on this out here, raise the kids up. There's a lot of kids out there that needs a pat on the back, still a boot in the butt. And I listened to him for 6 years when I built the volleyball court over here. He told me all I was gonna do was bring in riffraff. So help me, come by there one Sunday and Ron Sabo had his church group over there playing volleyball, and I called Tom. I said, Tom, you better get out there. The riffraff's all over that place. He said, I'll take care of it. That was his preacher.
Speaking of riffraff, the 4th of July parade, does that fall under you now, or is that under our activities chairman?
That's Mr. Riffraff.
That's our event coordinator.
That'll fall under me to organize and get ready.
Hey, is the date set in stone?
July 4th? Yeah, February 4th. We're shooting for lineup at 10 and the parade will be at 11. But this year, we will be having activities in the town throughout the day. So it won't just be a load up and go home. It will be more like it used to, where we all kind of come together.
Street fair.
There will be events for kids. Huh? That's what we can do. You're gonna lead it. It's gonna be great. You got that dress? You got your square dance dress to wear? We're gonna take it. I'm gonna look out there and see what we can get together.
Wendy, she runs this by me, I run it by her, and then we go from there. And she won't tell me what she takes to be so active. But the thing about what the kids want,
Yeah.
when I was on the city council, I went over here to school, I got Miss Shepherd. Okay, she took little cards and gave to all the kids.
Yes.
And they wrote on there what they wanted, and I got them cards.
We need to look at that.
Well, 98% of them won't swim to it.
Of course they do.
They got to think they're there. Yeah. But and
It's a people need to be heard, and that's what we're going for. But you keep watching for the 4th of July thing, it's going to be. And we're going to be dressing up the Christmas tree in red, white, and blue. Our mailbox is going to come back out, and it's going to be letters to soldiers instead of letters from Santa. So you'll have an opportunity to write to a soldier, and we'll be posting a list of addresses and taking addresses from people who may need a soldier to be listened to, or a veteran that might need a card from us. So keep that in mind, okay? Joe, you might work with me on that. Do that. Okay. Get us out of here, I'm tired.
my wife told me to be home an hour ago to have to take this.
I got one more thing, and this might just seem trivial, but you know when you go to Sandy Springs Park and you got the wood shavings?
Yes.
And then you go over here and you get in the sand and you're like stripping your kid down and you're trying to get all the sand off of them. Yes. No, wood shaving is still the same.
That's a great possibility.
Well, we'll just get that, rubber.
The rubber wood shaving stuff, you
Stuff,
know, the
it-
side rubber one, yeah, that's a good idea.
That keeps
I
it.
hate that thing too, I have to clean my car every time I take it to the girl place.
You got a motion?
I make,
John made a motion.
John, you made a motion to adjourn. Second.
I think second, let's
Okay,
go.